Hi, guys. I'm Tara Lipinski,
And this is Todd Kapistashi.
and you are listening to Unexpecting, the podcast.
Oh, I was
What?
I was trying to jump in and do a in unison thing like
Yeah,
you did,
no, you
and you went
shouldn't.
too fast.
I did it perfectly.
You know, you're a TV host. I just feel like that's really lackadaisical the way you.
I feel like it's
Hi,
very
guys.
conversational. Yeah. What do you want me to be
You're
like?
listening to.
Oh my gosh. Remember
Unexpecting.
real quick. This is where we go wrong. This is why we actually should have a podcast, because we have so much to talk about when all of a sudden the cameras are rolling and it makes me think of things. But do you remember in Korea at the Olympics when we did Johnny Steer and Tara Kapinski, like our alter newscaster egos? Yeah. And I feel like that's what you want me to be. It's like, hello,
No.
I'm Tara Kapinski.
No, I want you
You're
to do
listening
what
to
you-
WGTV.
No, I want you to do what you do like for NBC for figure skating.
Dun dun
Like
dun.
you're voicing over something, like Terry Gannon style.
I don't know. I think it should be conversational here.
By the way,
Oh, are you gonna drop something on me?
well, no, it's your life. But you're obviously beautiful and you're an
Where are we going?
amazing
Yeah.
broadcaster, and you got to keep up. But when you're a broadcaster, you gotta. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but anyway, you have a beautiful smile
Oh,
already. But
I know where you're going.
okay, so guys, this is actually pretty funny. I don't understand why this happens with certain things with you. You get like so amped, like you're 10 years old, like it's like a
Yeah, it's
laser
tag. Did you ever tell
birthday.
people about laser tag?
I think we talked about it.
I don't know. Anyways,
Tara used to get very excited as a
Except-
kid for a laser tag,
where
like
I get-
hyperventilate,
like I
and
would get
want to throw up because she's so
lightheaded.
excited.
Yeah, I would get so excited.
And other things in life, it's great. It's fun to be around someone who's got that, excitement for life. But
Except if you're the poor love is blind girl.
Sometimes.
Go on.
Wait, what?
I forgot her name. Love is blind girl. Remember, he dumped her for her energy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not talking about energy. I'm more saying you just get very, it's nice. Like you've done a lot of crazy, cool stuff in your life and been to every country and performed in front of people in Madison Square Garden and been on Oprah, all this stuff. But yet, like small things still like
excite
really
me,
excite you,
yeah.
which is really nice.
Like
you're not
Christmas
like a
is coming.
jaded human being and you're excited about life. But there are some weird things that she gets excited about, oddly. And one of them has turned out to be and it's weird. You've had, and this is not a knock on you because I never really noticed or cared.
Yeah.
Obviously, think you're beautiful, but like your lower teeth were pretty like crowded.
Right. Yeah.
Especially one was pretty bad.
That was always like when I was a kid. I always had the middle tooth at the bottom that stuck back, and like I never had to have braces. My top row was straight and beautiful, and I just like thought it was cool.
Well, you know what's so interesting?
I was like, I want to be like Madonna.
We're in LA and people like get all this stuff done, and like you're not that, but you care about stuff.
I mean, I get my Botox.
Yeah, like that. I didn't want to say it without you saying it, but
I get my Botox.
like you get the basic stuff, and you like dress well, and you like get your hair done nice.
Yeah.
Like you care about your look, so it always sort of baffled me. And I'm not saying this is like a mean thing, but I was always like, so interesting that like you get Botox and you're getting like lasers for hair, and like you care about like health and beauty stuff, but you just didn't care about this jacked up tooth you had. I kind of liked that you didn't care.
I didn't,
but I never
because-
really understood the reasoning.
Also, lasers for my face, not for my hair, just in case someone was going to be wondering about that.
You don't like laser or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Actually, no, though. I did.
Your
a lot.
armpits, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true. I always forgot about that because it was 15 years ago when I did that. And then I just don't
Does
have
it
hair.
stay?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was like when I was living in New York, like early days in New York, I did that. And I loved it. Did my legs, my underarms, and it was just like never really come. I mean, I should probably get touch-ups here and there. But yeah, I thought it was cool because when I was young, really everything else was like straight. And I didn't like have to have braces. But in my 30s,
you should have had braces.
I don't think so. A lot of like, truthfully, when I was young, if you saw my teeth, they were way different than when you met me. Like in my 30s, things started shifting on that bottom row. I'm sure people can relate. And I didn't realize this till I went to the dentist and they were like, yeah, in your mid 30s, like major shifts are happening and you're like, you'll get like the
major shifts and more than just teeth.
More than just teeth.
For me, at least.
but anyway, like you can really get crowded, and more people I meet that have done Invisalign, they're like, yeah, in my 30s, I started to. So anyways,
okay, but the whole point of this.
No, but it was real. But I should say this. I was like starting to get bothered by it because like it was something would get stuck in my teeth. Like none of that ever happened in my life. And I would just start to notice this bottom row is getting that tooth was just so messed up. So I did Invisalign, or I'm currently in Invisalign.
I need to prepare
I
the
love
audience
it. I love
this.
it. Invisalign is one of the greatest inventions.
Stop talking. And this is clearly not some ad, but Invisalign, if you're out there,
this is
literally the most enthusiastic human being on the face of the planet about Invisalign.
She
won't stop talking about it. It's like, you know, when people are like writing a screenplay or something, if you're like, oh, he's writing a screenplay, he's telling everyone about it. This is your screenplay.
Well, it's like a daily thing because it's like dedication. I think it's like the athlete in me that loves the day-to-day, like small improvements and how much work are you putting in? Like you want to keep them in as long as possible. You have to remember where they go.
It's not really work. You just put them in.
No, but I think people can know. If you were to do it, I don't know how you do in this because
you have like a training regiment for your Invisalign.
Well, because you can get lazy. You can be like, oh, I'm having coffee. I'm tired. I'm not going to go over there and get it.
I walked upstairs in the bathroom once and you were like curling your trays, like working out with them.
Working out, no. But I seriously feel like you have to put in a lot of effort to get results. And then, you know, like I know I had my first appointment afterwards, like 6 weeks after. And I was like, because he even says like, you know, it's all going to depend on you. You know, I was like so nervous to show up and show that I did a good job and I had them in like all the time. But you also get new trays every week, which somehow seems so exciting to
I'm gonna have to stop you at some point because we've been talking about Invisalign for like 20 minutes and you won't stop. The whole point is that you're obsessed with them and you tell everyone you meet that you have Invisalign. And the funniest part of the entire bit is Tara refers to her like trays that she has to put in as her quote unquote teeth. So she'll be like, if she like misplaces like a tray or her case, she'll be like, where are my teeth? Where am I? Todd, I lost my teeth. Where are my teeth? Where are my teeth? There's been
like
multiple
I'm 100 years old with my
teeth
dentures.
meltdowns like at restaurants.
Well, that's pure panic. Like you put in all that work and then you lose your teeth.
Who were we just with? Oh, Adam Rapon, who did Invisalign too. And wasn't he saying that you had he witnessed a teeth meltdown?
No. Johnny did. Terry did.
Oh, Terry did.
Yes.
That's right.
Because I couldn't find them before I got on air.
It's so funny. I started telling this story at dinner, and Terry Gannon, who's Tara's broadcast partner, was there. He's like, oh my God, we had a teeth meltdown. It's like, oh, Terry, welcome to the club.
I feel like Johnny and Terry were seriously concerned because they also know I'm very dedicated to my Invisalign. And it was before our live show and I couldn't find them. And I was like having people run back to the dressing room. I was like, I wasn't going to be able to concentrate on triple flips if I didn't have my teeth somewhere near me. But anyways, I'm a big fan of.
We haven't really talked about my dental.
But one thing I just want to point out that I think you could improve upon in our daily life when it comes to Invisalign is on the day of the new trays, I will sometimes mention it to him, and sometimes he doesn't answer me.
She gets mad at me.
Like you have no interest.
I answer appropriately.
No, you don't.
She wants me to have this like vast, deep, like we're probing the sort of fundamental physics of the universe. When she talks about her like new Invisalign trays, I don't have a lot to say.
You should say like, oh wow, that's like, exciting. How's it going?
It's happened
Are you seeing
before
a difference
where she like
this
turns
week?
around in the bathroom. She's like, you have nothing else to say other than okay. Like mad at me. I'm like, you know, like racking my brain for possible topics that I could like, oh yeah, like what does it feel like?
You do not though. That's what you need to do more of.
I know, because there's nothing to say. They're
I'd
trays.
like you to rack your brain more.
Enough about teeth.
Yeah, let's move on from teeth. What should we do a little surrogate update since?
Should we do a Sully fertility update?
He's still sterile.
Yeah, but we did it, so he would be maybe a little
calmer, and it's the opposite.
Backfired.
Guys, if you can message us if you have any experience with this, we've always neutered our dogs pretty early on. Long story short, just in case you want to know about this stuff, but our last dog, right here in the. Let We just point to the massive painting
Super
behind us.
Strange,
Yeah.
weird painting in our den.
That was our beloved Dublin, and he got cancer.
Well, hold on, I shouldn't say super strange, weird, amazing artist.
Amazing.
But, we have a massive painting
Yeah,
of our
yeah.
dead dog, so
Which
it's
is
a little interesting.
It is. It's great.
Great artist, Jen Brandon.
Brandon, yeah. It says it right there in case you forget. But he died of cancer pretty early, and this breed gets cancer. Their lifespan is like 10 to 12 years. It's really short. So when we got Sullivan, I had done a lot of research of sometimes neutering the dogs. There's some research out there that the hormones, like the disruption in hormones and lack of hormones, could bring on cancer and all of this stuff. And then they actually changed the recommendation from 6 months to a year and a half. So we are now 4 years in, and I was just holding off because I was like, he's not aggressive, and as long as they're not aggressive, it's fine. But we had talked to a few people who said maybe they calm down a bit because he's out of his mind, and with the baby, it's a bit nerve-wracking for me. But
when you say out of his mind, he's just like, he loves running around, and he
he's
when people
he's
get
not
excited
aggressive at all.
Yeah, he just gets like excited when people come over.
But he's a 95-pound dog that's like full of muscle. So when he bolts to a door, like you don't want to be in his way. But he's gotten worse. Like legit, he's
more hyper and also so hungry.
He's so
he wants
hungry.
like 16 meals a day.
He's so hungry.
He'll sit. It's so cute though. He'll sit on his empty bowl because he
put his head and his feet inside the bowl.
He's the opposite of Dublin. Dublin was the worst. Oh my! This dog almost ruined my life. He would bark, and I worked from home at that time too.
Yeah.
And he would bark in my face for hours wanting food. Sully like wants food and is hungry, but he'll just sit at his bowl and
paw
cute
out.
And, like, paw at
It's
it.
really cute. He doesn't know to be
Never barks.
annoying. He's a good boy with that. Okay, back to fertility update. So, guys, it's kind of happening, and I love that we're doing this podcast because, like I said before, I don't think for me it's going to take a while to, if it, knock on wood, things go well, and the surrogate gets pregnant. Like, it's not like I'm going to go on social media and immediately announce everything or take people on that journey. I feel like it's just, we talk about it here and obviously, our friends and family, but it's close, like a month away, I think. So we're thinking like an end of, it's crazy, December.
And another girl, we're thinking.
Todd is like, we're thinking about a boy.
We're thinking about a girl.
We're
just to break that news.
If you want to hear the news, I think it's going to be a boy.
It's going to be a girl.
It's going to be a boy. So we have one more just checkup. The surrogate got her polyp removed, and then now she's just going to come in and fly in. I'll get to see her next week, which is going to be really nice. And I'll go to the appointment with her, and we will just do a double check of like a saline ultrasound, just make sure everything looks good, and then it will be transfer time, which will be like prep for transfer, and then before the clinic closes for the holidays, I think maybe an end of December.
The whole thing is just weird, honestly. I know you feel like this too, but it's just, you don't get out of your head that, okay, you have Georgie, it took us 5 years, it was tough, obviously. And then your brain starts thinking about like doing it again, and you kind of forget that you get to bypass the like 5-year horrible part.
Don't say that because you just don't know.
Well, I know, but on paper you do. So like we are right now. It's like we kind of said, oh, we should have maybe look into a second kid.
Part,
and then we have.
Yeah, I will give you that.
But we have everything figured out. Like you're not trying.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, it's also like, I see what you're saying. It's not like I'm going to the clinic and being like, okay, let's start for baby number 2. Let me do retrievals.
I'll do a retrieval. Yeah. I'm going to try to implant one and have one. Like,
yeah, we skip those. We skip those steps, which is nice. I will say though, as it gets closer, it's just, I think I'm excited. I think I can say this. I think I'm excited. Like, I was wondering.
To have 2 girls in the house is.
I mean, to have
exciting.
a girl and a boy in the house is just, the dream. But I think that I'm hopeful and excited about this second journey, and it just feels sort of surreal because like you get out of the pregnancy fertility thing when, for the last year, we've been parents raising a child and you're not really doing that day-to-day life anymore. And it just feels a little weird because it's like, even now the talk and everything is back to fertility talk, back to IVF talk, back to, and knock on wood, hopefully pregnancy talk. But you get back into that life. I'm like, oh, like we're going to go back and do it again. So
yeah. And there's like, again, I shouldn't say this, knock on wood, but there is a chance like we
Right,
have,
it
we have
doesn't
to
work.
use a couple,
Right, right.
like, and then that'll be devastating though when it happens,
right.
and doesn't work.
And we'll get through it. But, I think like we've set ourselves up the best we can, just knowing, we have 7 embryos on ice and, we're blessed to have, Georgie. And I think that is just like, I want to just have that mindset moving in. And I'm really feeling good about like the connection with our surrogate. And it's been nice now because it's been a few months, and I still talk to some people ask like, oh, like, are you going to bring on your old surrogate?
We're stupid
Michaela?
for not doing that.
I know, but you know what's weird now at this point? There's something that feels so special between me and Michaela. And look, I've broadcasted everything about this infertility journey. And at first, I really wanted her to come on. Remember, we were trying to figure it out and schedule it. But now it's so past, and we have this friendship, and we talk, and she knows about my life, and I don't know. There's something special where I'm like, I don't know if I need to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know even when that changed, but that did change.
And now a quick word from our sponsors.
My fertility journey was anything but easy. The emotional, physical, and financial toll often involved can feel overwhelming. But I'm so grateful that Todd and I had the resources and support we needed to keep going. Empowering yourself with educational resources is one of the most valuable things you can do on your path to parenthood. When I was in the thick of my unexplained infertility, understanding my available options, seeking advice from my medical team, and knowing how to advocate for myself helped me feel more in control in a situation that felt so unpredictable. Today's sponsor, FERRING Pharmaceuticals, understands the challenges that many families face during their fertility journey. They offer a range of support to help empower aspiring parents so you can focus on what matters most, building your family. To find resources on fertility treatments, support systems, and financial assistance programs, visit ferringfertility.com. What's interesting, though, is like thinking about just like what I said of like getting back into the swing of things of fertility. I came across this post. I mentioned it to you. I
have props.
I do have
Sarah's
props. Hold
pulling
on.
out her phone.
I am, because I'm not going to get it right, but I just thought it was like an interesting thing we could talk about. But it is Sarah Heron. I don't know if you're in the infertility community, you kind of know. She was a bachelor on The Bachelor or Bachelor. I can't remember if she was a bachelorette or on.
Does Dr. Amy post with her?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she went through hell, like the whole journey, getting the embryos and like a very late term loss and just like failure. And I have always followed her journey, but I've always really loved the way she talks about infertility, and she's really straightforward and honest and just makes you feel like, again, the whole point of why we did the podcast of just like feeling less alone. And she had a post yesterday of it said unexpected feelings I've had in motherhood after loss and infertility, and there was like 3 things. One of them was I still get triggered by seeing other people's pregnancy announcements, and she talked about specifically 2nd or 3rd pregnancies, and the other point was like some days she misses her grief, and the other thing was just that.
But what does that mean?
Well, I mean, I think for her too, we talk about the levels, but like she lost a baby very late term. And like when you're in that grief and you're thinking about, your son every day, and you're, keeping his memory alive and all of those things, I think that's grief across the board, right? Like when you start to, not that you're forgetting, but when you're not living in that feeling all the time. And that's a little different for us just because our losses were hard, but we didn't have a late term loss. But I think like sometimes I feel that feeling of like, I felt so connected when it's so weird to say, but when I like would lose the pregnancy, like the months after, I felt so connected to what could have been, what was that, like that embryo that was so cherished and worked so hard for, all of those things. Like I was like, there was a feeling, right? And now I feel so detached from it. But I think the other thing she mentioned, well, both of them, she did a beautiful caption of explaining these feelings, which I'll read one of them. But she also talked about how like the day-to-day life has changed and her identity has changed. And I think in the beginning, I was really unsettled when we first had Georgie because I felt so guilty. B, felt like I wasn't part of this. I didn't want people that were still in the thick of it to be annoyed by me or, not accept me as one of them because I was in a different phase now. And I was so like off kilter with that and did feel like a loss of identity because for 5 years, even though I wasn't publicly open about it, I was so immersed in that world. And then all of a sudden, that's not my life anymore. And somehow now I feel like just being an advocate has like shifted that focus. So now I just really enjoy moving into like being an advocate and trying to make things better. But I think I'll always feel that I relate to like that part of me, I don't know will ever leave. Like that is just me. And it made such a huge impact on my life. But it is strange. It's like the day-to-day life of like me being a detective, trying to figure things out, knowing all my hormone levels, going to the clinic. Like, I was at that clinic how many days a week for how many years? Like there was just so much purpose and routine and that's all changed. So she talked about that. And then she also talked about, she's like, this is what she said. She's like, anyone who's experienced baby loss or infertility can relate to these feelings. So I'll break them down. Sometimes, because the trauma of infertility and baby loss doesn't go away once you've had a rainbow baby. And she's had, if you don't follow her, she had twins this year. And it's been just so like when I saw the news and seeing her living this life, it just makes me so happy that she got, and they were 2 mosaics, which is really interesting. But anyway, she says, I've chatted with countless women who can relate to the feelings of jealousy, envy, and comparison when they see a pregnancy announcement, even while pregnant themselves or after having their rainbow baby. It's true that we can be happy for a friend's pregnancy and still feel sad for ourselves. It's a strange paradox of feelings because it's because we know that the ease of natural conception or a second child or third is not equitable for all who try. And for many of us, there will not be a second or third despite our desire. So it's just, to me, it's interesting. I think, I really got past all the pregnancy stuff. I mean, to be able to do surrogacy, I had to. But it is interesting as like a person who went through so much infertility and like loss, all of those points still, I just felt like I saw that post. I told you about it immediately. It just really hit home because I feel those feelings. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up because I know that there's so many different people that listen to our podcast, whether they're in the thick of it or after. And I'm sure there's people that, have 2 or 3 kids and have a family now, but I'm sure they probably feel some of the feelings that I feel there. But, speaking of like the day-to-day stuff, I had an idea. Let's see if the listeners should like weigh in and tell me if this is a good idea or a bad idea. But it was sort of that thing she's saying. It's like your day-to-day life is so different. You're not focused on the same things. But I mean, Dr. Beck jokes that I should work at her office or become an embryologist. I could read the scans. Like I was dedicated to learning so much and things were like on the top of my head. Like I just knew so much, but clearly don't have any schooling. And I'm not going to go, all of a sudden now go become an embryologist, but I could, but I'm not. And, but my acupuncturist has this, I think it's called, I always mess it up because her original clinic, but Well Women, I believe, or Well People. And she is a great acupuncturist that Dr. Beck uses a lot. And there's like a wide sort of staff of like, on a scale of acupuncture to herbs to, all different therapies. And it's around, infertility. And we were talking this week and she's like, have you ever thought of doing, like you could do it on Zoom, you could do it in my office, but, it's like a fertility support specialist, someone that would like go through a retrieval with you or go through a transfer with you who would, or if you're like in a situation, she thinks, especially for the people that are like long haulers that are really just struggling. Cause she's like, they come in for my appointments to be, for acupuncture and all you want to do is talk, which I know that feeling. I just want to talk about all the possibilities, all the problems. And she's like, I only have 30 minutes and they just want to keep asking. She's like, you would be such a great like person to like bounce ideas off of, try to figure out what's your next step, all of these things you should ask your doctor. So she kind of asked me if I would want to do that. And I was like, I think I would.
Well, I feel like what should exist, if it doesn't already, or you should just start it, is like, it would be really cool. Because now you've met so many friends that we have now that you met at California Fertility Partners, or so many people now who have like gone through this in like a big, like long way and have so much info and knowledge to impart on people who are just starting. Like there should be almost like a nonprofit that's like a buddy system where you, Tara, would get just paired up with someone just starting IVF, and basically you guys could text or talk or whatever, and just like pair. Because I feel like you would have loved to have someone going through it
I
like
would,
you
I would
to
have
just
loved
talk
that.
to.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, it's a great idea. I think the only caveat there is you want people that, because again, there's so many like what ifs when it comes to fertility, and you could say like, oh, like, I don't know, like next time it will work. These things that you don't want to hear. So it's like not just support. I think it's also someone who's kind of educated in the space of really knowing the medical side.
This isn't wrong necessarily, but there probably are a lot of people who've gone through like a lot of the things, but just kind of went through it and
didn't want to dive in. There's a lot of people that don't even want to understand. So this would probably be not, for some people, like some people really are just like, I just want to go in and not know, and next time it will work or it won't. But I think there's a lot of people like me. And if there was someone who really had all that information that I had to research, that could have talked to me, that I could have then brought those questions into Dr. Beck, I would have felt way more in control, and that I was like advocating for myself. But so I don't know. Message us and tell us what you think on if I should do this. I kind of feel like I should.
Shouldn't?
I should.
Oh, yeah, I think you should too.
But it's kind of scary. Like, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. I think I should though.
I mean, it's like all these things. If people know that, like, look, you aren't a trained
I'm not a doctor,
fertility specialist, but you've gone through a lot, and you can at least offer like the perspective on the things that you've gone through and tried and
it's like my friend right now is going through
case study.
Yeah, who's going through. There's things I do know, and I think it's like she's like, oh wow, this is so helpful, and it's really sweet because there was a nurse in New York that I met through one of my nurses here that was that came and gave me a shot one day when I was doing the crazy Menopur stuff, and I was struggling with like Menopur. I had issues doing. Remember, like when things would spurt across the right. So this last retrieval, a friend of my nurse friend here introduced me her friend while I was working in New York, and she came and we met, and we just like hit it off and talked, and I then had to give myself more shots the next day on the plane. And I don't know if I ever told you, you know that story where I'm in the plane, and it was all Menopur. I had this crazy, like usually you mix medicines, but I had like, like literally 1,000 bottles of Menopur I had to do. And I'm on the plane, and I like, for some reason there was like, I didn't load it right, whatever. I'm re-sticking myself with the needle, which is like a hepatitis, right? Like you're not supposed to, but I didn't care. Like this is the one we got Georgie on. I was so desperate at that point. I needed to make sure all the medicine was in there. So I was like refilling, trying to get it all out, and like just sticking. And I like got on my phone afterwards, and I text my friend Kelly, who was the nurse that came and we met just like a few days before, and we just like really hit it off, and I was melting down. So it's like when you meet someone that you don't know, and then all of a sudden you have this really intimate like conversation, like on the plane, I'm like crying, texting her, like, I think I probably just gave myself hepatitis. Like, I don't know if I got all the medicine in. I'm like melting. She's talking me through it. I'm like showing her pictures of like all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the stakes are so high in those relationships that I would imagine if there was some sort of, not a service, but some sort of like, something where women who are just starting IVF could go and talk
Right.
with someone else whenever they want, like those friendships would probably blossom very quickly.
Very
'cause you're
quickly.
going through
Yeah,
something
and so
together. That's
I've-
very intense.
Yeah, and I've stayed friends with Kelly for this whole time. Like she wore, like, again, it's like no one knew what was going on at that point. Like, you know, she on the retrieval day, she was wearing like a pink sweater because we were hoping and maybe there'd be another girl in there. And when I finally met her again in New York, she was wearing her pink sweater. And but now I feel bad if I shouldn't be saying this. I'm sure she's fine, but she's going through an egg retrieval just to really be proactive. And I just had this like incredible thought the other day because, you know, she's talking about medicine, and that's where I feel like I can really lend my years in the trenches of like, you know, and she's a nurse, right? But she's not in fertility. So there's things you just don't know, like why are they upping my medicine, or how many follicles should I have, or what size should they be, or all of these things, or when might my retrieval be, like, because I kind of know how they'll grow, like, you know, the spacing. And anyways, I just had this like thought where I texted her, I was like, holy cow, like you were there in the making of Georgie, and now like maybe I'm there in the making of like a potential child in the future that you have. So I just thought that was like a really sweet like thought.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like I talked
Maybe
a lot.
you'll have a new job next time.
Maybe I'll have a new job.
And we'll have a new president elect.
We will, because today is election day.
Yeah.
All right. I love you, TK.
Love you.
Thanks for listening to Unexpecting the podcast. Please subscribe, leave a review, and follow Unexpecting Pod on Instagram for info about upcoming weekly episode releases.